respect, and relationships.
RESPECT. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome to Loving Beyond the I Do podcast. This power couple is building stronger marriages one day at a time. Talking about real issues on love, relationships, and marriage longevity. Let's break down the barriers and engage in healthy conversation with your hosts, Jason and Tina Marie. Take a seat and buckle up because things are about to get real.
Welcome to Loving Beyond the I Do live conversations. I'm your co-host, Jason, along with my beautiful wife, Tina Marie. As we get into the topic tonight, we know, like you, relationships and marriage has its good, bad, ups, downs, ins, out, highs, and lows.
That's right.
But we know from personal experiences.
That's right.
That life can get hectic, right? Between all the responsibilities of work, kids, chores, shopping, cooking, extended family, it's no wonder that our connection, energy level, commitment, and even intimacy with our partner sometimes get pushed to the sidelines. Lifing may even have you feeling exhausted, frustrated, irritable, overwhelmed, low-key stressed.
That's right.
And not in the mood. You're definitely not alone.
That's right. So Jason and I, we've been married 32 years. I know. Can't believe it. I got married when I was 5. So We've been married 32 years, and we've had a lot of ups and downs. We've had a lot of good and bads. And so what happened is that we decided during the bad times, what are we going to do? What are you going to do about it? We decided to take our marriage back. We decided to take control of our marriage. And once we realized that we were the creators of our own relationship, right? We had to understand where the issues were, what we were going wrong, what were we doing that wasn't working. And so once we started talking about these things to other couples and showing them our method to dealing with it, our techniques, then we realized that majority of the couples were going through the same thing, right? We don't have to suffer alone. And that's the biggest thing in our communities, that we have to understand that we have to reach out for help when we need it. And so that's how we started Legendary Relationship, right? And so we coach couples. We coach you, right? So when you want to win the game of life, the game of marriage, the game of relationships, when you want to win at anything, right? This is where you come. We help you to decipher, understand, and actually pinpoint what is negative behavior. What are the things that you are doing in your relationship that really you shouldn't be doing? Right? So we had an instance today. You know, Jason and I, we work out every morning.
Yes.
And we were talking with one of our gym family members, and he was going through some issues. And it wasn't with his wife, but it was with his child's school.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And after we finished talking to him, he felt better and we felt better. But what I turned to Jason and said is that when you have a better understanding about relationships in general, it makes you able to handle all relationships. Not have a better relationship just at home with your spouse, but with your children, with your children's school, right?
Right?
With your neighbors, with the person in the store. We deal in all type of relationships, and we have to understand what's good, what's bad, what we shouldn't do, and what we should do.
Right.
Right.
So if we can take care of ourselves, because we're the only one that's in control of all those relationships.
The only one that shows up at each one.
We're the only one.
Right.
Right. So, that's why we always say it's about you. It's about you. It's about you.
And when we're talking, so tonight's topic is about respect and relationships, right? It can be respect in relationships. It could be respect and relationships. It's just recognizing.
Or respectful relationships.
Either way you want to spin it. Mm-hmm. It's understanding the lack of respect.
Ooh,
and, that mutual support between two people in a relationship.
Right.
Right. So oftentimes I'm sure in our relationship, not now, thank God, that we were able to recognize signs of lack of respect. I know at one point you and I, your biggest thing was that, I feel disrespected.
Right.
And I couldn't see how you felt that way.
Right. And you know what? I couldn't really express how I felt. I just know that I felt disrespected.
So we had to discuss how do these things, how does lack of respect manifest in our relationships?
Yeah, I know.
How do they just show up, right?
You're right. It does. It's like, I just got a feeling. I feel disrespected. Right. No, sometimes, it's just lack of communication.
Yeah.
Or how to express it. And we said this before in the past, you just have to be able to express yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
And we don't. Sometimes we talk at each other and not to each other.
Right.
So we're constantly chipping away at the foundation when we do things like that because we're not talking to one another.
So what we're thinking is, I know when we talk with couples and even ourselves, we think that we are communicating what's going on. We think we're communicating our needs. This is how I'm feeling, but we do it in such a disrespectful way, right? We're talking at each other instead of to each other, which means that if I'm talking at you, that's not communication because you're not listening. The whole point of communication is for me to be able to effectively get my point across and the other person to receive it, right?
Right. So if you're talking, I should be receiving.
Right. But if I'm talking at you,
I'm not receiving and I'm talking back at you.
So we volleying, right? Which most people do.
Right. A bunch of people saying something and nobody's getting anywhere. There's no understanding, no comprehension, nothing. But everybody's eager to get their point across. And that's where a problem comes in. You're just talking to get your point across and not really trying to tackle the situation at hand.
And I think the issue in not only in relationships, but with our kids as well. Sometimes we get to a point where just because they are our kids, sometimes we get to a point of we love them and we want them to hear us. But it's also a lack of respect because we're not respecting them as a person when we talk to them. Right. I mean, when we talk at them instead of to them. Right.
And you feel because you're the parent, you have the right to talk to them that way.
And then it comes, so this communication that we've learned, right? This ineffective communication that we've learned and we engage in, we do it with our mate, we do it with the people in the street, and then we do it with our children, and then we wonder why we're misunderstood. Right? people. So when we talk about like these are the things that
you manifest these things
in your relationship, right?
And it's all this disrespect.
You like, how do you? Well, how did this get in our relationship? How did it get here? Because it just starts with one person having a lack of respect for the other person, now, and then it just snowballs into something else.
Yeah, because disrespect breeds disrespect.
Exactly. Another sign, right? So, so last week we talked about the check engine sign coming on. Right. This is if you are in your relationship, and Jason and I, our thing is take your relationship or marriage off cruise control, right? Another sign that your car is headed for the cliff is if you can spot these things, if you are talking at your mate and not to your mate, right? And then you are responding with disrespect. So he's disrespecting me or she's disrespecting me, and then I'm volleying it back with disrespect. That's another sign. That's another check engine light. Yeah.
No, that might be a little smoke, a little like, time to change your oil. It's some maintenance that needs to go on at this point.
Absolutely, right. That's absolutely true. And I think the last 3 weeks we've talked about different areas.
Right. We've managed some stress. We talked about emotional support.
We talked about shared responsibilities.
And
all of these things play a part when we're talking about respect.
Yeah.
And everything is connected, right? In relationships, most of the time we think about that we only have one area we need to solve, right? It's only, I have a problem with this. But if we dig deeper, it's kind of spilling over into every area because lack of respect spills over into how are we sharing our responsibilities? How are we handling resentment? How are we handling managing stress? Because all that stuff plays a part. If I'm feeling disrespected,
I'm feeling disrespectful in every area of the marriage.
And I'm sure we're feeling stressful. I'm sure it's a stressful situation.
It is.
I used to be there. I know what it feels like.
Oh. I mean, that kind of hit kind of hard. You was there. But you're not anymore.
I'm not anymore.
Right.
But it took us to go through that to understand what it looked like, what it meant, and to want something different.
How does it feel? I mean, like, not how does it feel, but how do you end up at a place that you care about someone as much as you do. You love them.
Love them enough to say I do, and I want to spend the rest of my life
and
with you,
then
right?
you totally disrespect them. That's the part that I don't understand. How do we get to that point? And this is where we help couples. This is where you need to find out, how did you get to the point of being so disrespectful? That's right, because
how did our relationship get to a
right
point
where
where
I
it's
just
okay?
don't love you, or I'm not expressing love anymore. I'm expressing disrespect.
Right.
So disrespect breeds disrespect,
And then
now I feel disrespected.
exactly. And so we're the first, the person who's giving it is the first person who hollers, I feel disrespected. You don't respect me as a person.
Right.
And then it just, like I said, right, for some reason, I'm just touching on the kids today, right? We don't realize that the way we communicate, the way we
as
interact
adults,
with,
as the family members,
as adults, as
mother
and father, as
gotcha.
as the way we interact, it's a trickle down effect, right?
For
So
sure.
I'm criticizing you, you're criticizing me. We don't realize the effect that it has on our children.
No.
Right?
No.
And so when we're talking about in relationships and being able to spot the check engine light, it's the criticism.
Right.
It's the need to be right all the time.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the problem. You want to be right all the time, or you want to criticize. It's just so many different areas that you need to be in control. And with that, it's nothing wrong with being in control or taking charge, but you got to do it. And I always say you have to do it in a respectful manner. But if you're trying to, use criticism to be in control and be disrespectful,
or control someone's thoughts, actions, and feelings, right? And so when I go back to the kids, we don't realize that it has a mental effect on them.
and emotional, mental, emotional, sociological,
psychological, sociological, all of them.
All of those.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we talk about, I know, many times I've heard kids say that, well, my parents used to argue all the time and it just made me feel a certain kind of way.
Right.
That's the same thing with the lack of respect. And then they grow up and then the cycle continues, right?
Correct.
Now that lack of respect, that criticism, that degrading, that stress,
it's baked
it just shows up in our relationship again and again and again.
Yes.
And it even comes from, working, right?
Yeah.
Working, and we have a lack of respect. That respect.
And how you interact with people in the everyday. I mean, like, you can't hold down a job. You can't get along with people. You just have all of these different, or you're a people pleaser. You're trying to please everybody, people walking all over you, things that you've learned in the past. I mean, that's part of, well, if I say this, I can keep the peace. That shows, this is what my mom did. She kept the peace in the house. So she did this, or this is what my dad did because he didn't want to hear her mouth or anything like that. So all those type of things, as a kid, you come along with all these things instilled in you, because this is where we get our first training from. All right.
Right.
So
right.
we baked in with all this. So we go get a job, and we've been taken advantage of. And, it's like,
or we're taking advantage of other people.
Oh, we're taking advantage of people. Either way. It goes either way, right?
We become that boss that nobody likes because this is what
Exactly.
we've seen.
Right.
That lack of respect, where we think that having a lack of respect means that I'm dominating you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so we wonder why it's this generational thing that keeps happening over and over and over in all of our relationships, right? So we don't take the time to really sit back and look at the things in our relationships that aren't working. No. We like to point fingers. We like to place blame. We like to say it's the other person's fault because of X, Y, and Z. But never do we sit back and say, what is my part in this? What am I carrying with me that I either need to be disrespectful, or I feel the need to come back with disrespect?
Right.
So when we're talking about understanding the lack of respect and mutual support, it goes hand in hand.
It does.
And it takes us to be aware of the signs and how they're breeding in our relationship.
We talked about a couple of weeks ago about managing stress.
Right.
Stress and being overwhelmed will lead to disrespect, because you already feel that you're busting at the seams as an individual, and you just can't take one more thing.
Right.
And then here you go with this, and then you're just going to let it out however you can to feel some type of relief. And then that's damaging your relationship. So that overwhelmness and that stress will breed to
lack of respect.
Yeah, lack of respect.
And oftentimes we don't see it because it's us.
Right.
We are just responding to life.
Exactly.
So we are reacting instead of having control of our actions.
Okay, we got some comments.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, Dennis. Happy Friday.
Hey, I checked out your post, Dennis. Okay, I checked out your
Don't get
post.
off of Dennis. Leave Dennis alone. All right,
Hi, Mia.
Mia Miller's in the house.
What's
Welcome,
up?
Mia. So, guys, if you are out there and you are watching and you want us to shout you out this Friday, please drop us a comment so that we can just say thank you for being on with us. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for taking the time to sit down and enjoy our conversation. All right.
All right.
All right, Lavanya.
Listening all the way from Atlanta.
From Atlanta,
We
yes.
appreciate you. We appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Lavanya. Saw your pictures of the kids. Wonderful.
Yikes, Jason. LOL. Yes.
So getting back to our topic.
Yep.
What you said, that's another sign, aggression.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when we're talking with couples,
But you know what? When we
and
talk like aggression is leadership. You need to be aggressive, assertive.
there's
right?
a fine line. Exactly.
There's a time and a place to be aggressive, and maybe in the relationship may not be it.
Well, you know, aggression is, people have to understand that's a little bit different, right? You're making people think the way you think. You want them to act the way you act. You want them to do the way you do. And that's, you know, the speaking, the control, the aggression,
Right.
where oftentimes, like we said before, right? When life gives us stress, we normally let it out on those who we love the most.
Yes.
Right? Those closest to us.
That's what studies show.
That's what study shows. But why do we do that? Because we can get away with it.
And we feel comfortable with it.
And that's the problem. That's
Right.
another check engine light. I'm comfortable
If you
with
comfortable-
dumping. Comfortable with dumping my garbage all over you and thinking that you're going to love me more.
If you feel
Right.
that you need to disrespect a person that you love to feel better, there's some things you need to
There's
check.
some smoke in the engine.
yeah. That's
So
some things you really
we're
need to
talking
open
about
up
jumping
the
back in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Man, you need to stop the car, pull over, and lift up the hood.
Right.
Right?
Because there's a serious issue.
There is a serious issue. And so when we talk about these signs, guys, the point is just not to bring these topics. This is stuff that is breeding in our relationship every day. And we think that it's normal. It's normal for us to talk at each other. It's normal for us to be unhappy after certain years. It's normal for me to meet you with disrespect because you meet me with disrespect, right? It's normal and we understand that.
It's normal for us to ignore what's going on.
That's a big thing too. We don't address the issues
Right.
because one, we don't know how to address them,
Right.
but then we overlook them years and years and years, and then it just turns into where I've had enough,
Right.
right? And once we've lost the respect of our mate, it's going to take a shift, and it's going to take a shift and a change to understand where we're going wrong and how to take the finger off of your mate and put it on yourself.
If you lost the respect, you're gonna lose the love. You're gonna lose the admiration. You're gonna lose a whole lot of feelings and emotion. That all goes when
respect.
When the respect goes,
You pretty much say, I don't care.
Yeah.
So you're just pretty much going through life saying, well, this is the
Whatever.
type of relationship we have, and that's what it's gonna be, and you know, this is good as it gets.
Right.
But what we don't understand is that all the energy and effort we put into having a lack of respect, we can put that same energy and effort and changing it around and changing it to respect. Right? Being able to spot the issues, not making excuses for them, but being able to spot them.
Now it's gonna take some practice, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's gonna take some practice.
Well,
This is easier said than done.
it is.
But you know
It
what?
is.
Just like anything else, after 3,000 miles or so, you need to go get an oil change.
Right, exactly.
I mean, or you don't. You can go a lot longer, right? But eventually, those wheels gonna start to slide, and that engine gonna seize up, and you're gonna be done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it is on your relationship.
And we have to understand, guys, this is behavior that rolls over into all of our relationships.
Right.
We don't even see it as that, right? So people think, well, I'm single, I'm not married, it's okay. But it's the relationships that you deal with people on a daily basis. And if you ever want to have a relationship with someone, these are issues that you need to take care of now. right? This is the time to work on you while you're by yourself. Right?
Yeah.
Or even if you're not.
This is a self thing, right?
It is a self thing.
You have
it is
to,
a self thing.
Because if you're disrespecting the person you love, you're truly disrespecting yourself.
You are. And most of the time we think that by acting out that way, by being disrespectful, that we're going to be met with love and admiration, as you said.
Now that sounds totally crazy.
But that's what people think.
Right.
If I let you know in a very disrespectful way what you're not doing and what my needs are and how you're not satisfying my needs, then I expect you to hear what I'm saying and then return it with all the love in your heart towards me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah. But that's what we do.
But that is what we do.
We dump all of our anger, our frustration, our feeling isolated, our feeling neglected, we feeling jealous, or whatever it is that we're feeling in our relationships. When we don't know how to effectively communicate this to our mate, then we do it in a very disrespectful way.
Yep. Oh, we tell them. We give them a piece of our mind.
We tell, I feel like you love your family more than me. I feel like you're giving more time to the kids. I feel like, you're always with your boss.
Yep.
Right, exactly. Right. So we're saying it in a negative way where we're not putting ourselves in the shoes of our mate. Right. So, I often tell people when Jason and I do workshops, with every choice we make, there's a consequence to it, right? Yep. Like this goes hand. There's a cause. For every cause, there's an effect.
For sure.
So when women say, well, I want a man that's working and I want a man that's bring home the money and I want a man that's this, and this, we have to understand if he's working and making the money, that means he can't be home. Right? So then if he's
You're
not
saying something now.
But then the next thing they do, we complain as women and say, well, he never spends any time with me. He's always at work. Now which one do you want?
You can't have both.
We can, but we have to be able to understand that and effectively communicate that to our mate where we feel neglected.
Right. You have to be able to put your relationship in a certain light.
Absolutely.
Now, a lot of times we don't. We say, hey, listen, if you want me to provide, then that means I'm going to be away from home. But you have to make your relationship important.
Right. So
if it's not a priority, you're not to neither one at this point because you're chasing, look, I want to buy material things. I want to have this. So you put your relationship, just on the back burner. It is what it is. We're married, we're in the house, and everything's going fine. We're going for material things, and we want to have money in the bank. That's fine. But your relationship suffer because you don't work at it.
And so when I was going back to what we were saying, when people say, well, I want my mate to be able to work and provide, right? And so as the spouse says, well, you're always gone. You never spend any time with me. So that's a way of communicating ineffectively, right? So
for sure.
So this is where I talk about that lack of respect. Now you're angry. You feel isolated, disrespected, neglected, whatever the word may be. And now you're pouring it out, right? All these negative feelings, you're pouring them out on your mate. And what your mate is going to do is then respond negatively. Well, how am I supposed to provide? How am I supposed? Instead of understanding that being able to effectively sit down and go through these things in your mind and understand where we're falling short and be able to effectively communicate that to your mate. So just understanding that the lack of respect shows up in so many different areas in our relationship, and we have to be able to spot them. But Jason and I are not all about the problems. We're about also the solutions.
Oh, for
right?
sure. For sure.
Right.
Yeah. But we had to highlight and let you know kind of, where the warning signs are.
Because, too often, what people tell us, oh, my relationship is good. We don't need coaching.
Oh, we good.
Yeah, we good. But then you can feel the energy and the vibration from the relationship without somebody even saying anything.
And it's nice to be good.
It is.
Because that's self-confidence. You need to be good. But you also have to be coachable. Right? I mean, because as good as Michael Jordan was,
he had to be coachable.
He didn't win those championships by himself.
And it's good to start off good, right?
Yeah.
That's how you know you're never going to get bad.
There you go.
You keep practicing the right things, then you don't have time to practice the wrong things.
Exactly.
But so let's get into, so we talked about how they manifest, right? How we can see these things in our relationships. I know like I said, we've gone through some understanding that lack of communication, not being able to communicate with your mate, talking at instead of to.
Oh, yeah.
And then how it trickles down into
the family.
The family, right? Or it trickles down into other areas of our relationship.
Or this, when you see that those factors in your children.
Absolutely.
And it's staring you back in the face.
Yeah. Yes.
And you go, wow, that's my words. Those are what I use.
Sometimes our kids are a very good reflection of what we may be doing
Yeah.
Not 100% right.
Yeah.
I don't want to say wrong.
That mirroring,
but what we can do better.
That mirroring is something else. When
Yeah.
you when you looking at your your children,
your reflection in the mirror, you go,
yes.
yeah. Sometimes I hear kids speaking, and I know that they have picked up this bad behavior from adults.
Yeah.
Right? They duplicate, they imitate, they emulate everything that we do because that's all they know. So if we want our children to have good relationships, because everybody thrives to have a good relationship,
Right.
we want to have it.
Mm-hmm.
So where we have to fix it because our children are watching us. And then when I'm able to actually communicate effectively better with my mate and with myself, then I'm better to communicate more effectively in the world.
That's true.
Right.
Because you're gonna show up different.
Yep.
But the kids, let's go back to I always say kids, children, whatever. They deserve respect, whether they're little or not.
do.
I mean, if you can teach them respect at a young age and constantly show them respect, show them that their feelings matter, that they matter, and that you can actually speak about a situation, and then you can express that you have an opinion, you have an outlook. Tell me how you feel.
Yes.
Do you understand where you might have made a mistake?
Yeah, that goes back to always needing to be right.
Right.
As a parent, which I had to learn, my opinion is not always right. I'm not always right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I may want you to do things, and I had to learn, like, I may have wanted my kids to do things a certain way because that's what I knew. Didn't mean it was the best way.
Right.
My mom used to always tell me there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
Right?
I was told that too. I think they went to the same school.
So when we're understanding how to skin this cat, if our children are telling us this is how I feel and this is how I want to do it, we have to be respectful enough to at least listen.
Okay.
To at least listen. All right. So Sandra, the fruit don't fall short off the tree. Yes, ouch. Absolutely.
For sure.
And even just like in our mate, we want to take credit for the positive, but then say it's somebody else's fault for the negative.
Yeah.
I used to say that all the time. Boy, that apple don't fall far from that tree.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
But it's fine when it sounds good.
No.
When the child is showing something positive, like, oh yeah, the apple don't fall far from the tree.
Knock off the whole block, right?
Yeah,
right.
but if it's something else, you go, oh boy. Be like, yeah, but this is learned behavior.
When you see, kids acting out in ways that they know nothing about, right? You know that it's learned behavior from home.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into understanding what we can do.
All right.
So we're going to give you some tools and tips tonight, right? So how do we start checking our engine light?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
it's time to get some maintenance.
Time for some maintenance. All right. So let's try this one.
Okay.
I think one good one might be the speak and repeat technique. We've talked about this before.
Yep, I like that.
So with the speak and repeat technique, all right, I'll let you go over it.
All right. So the speak and repeat technique is where you have an issue, whatever it may be, or concern, however you want to address it, and the person speaks for 1 or 2 minutes. I'll say about a minute. You say about a couple of sentences or whatever, so that you can get your point out, right? It's just small bits, right? Now, they have the floor. I need them to speak as long as they need to, but I need for you.
That didn't make sense.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
They can speak as long as they need to speak, but I need to get it in small chunks, right? A couple sentences or so at a time, a thought, right? So if I said, I'm unhappy, I feel disrespected. I feel disrespected because of this. And I give you, this is why I feel disrespected. Because when you come home from work, you continue to work, and that makes me feel upset. And what I would say is, okay.
So what your mate would say.
Well, what your mate would say.
Right. So the speak and then repeat is.
Right. So now the repeat is, I heard what you said, and then I'll say,
let me repeat
to make sure I understand. And then I'll say, you get upset when I come home and continue to work and ignore you. Is this correct? Yes. And say, okay, continue. So at this point, we're not talking at each other. And also, I'm not trying to fix anything. I'm not trying to get my point across. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from. So now we can speak the same language. So we're going to talk to each other, right? So you're giving me what it is. I'm repeating it back to you. And then we can continue on. By the end of the conversation, right? By the end of the conversation, then I am clear on what's going on with you and we can resolve the issue.
Okay, so to give you guys a little bit more, so with the speak and repeat, you and your mate are having a conversation, right? There's an issue, and now the issue wants to be discussed, which means that who's ever speaking first, the other person is just listening. You're not interrupting. You're not cutting them off. You're not listening to respond. You're actively listening. So if Jason, so in that scenario, who was saying what?
Right. So I was saying that
you were talking to me.
I was talking to you. I was saying that I'm upset because you come home and you continue to work.
Okay.
Now I have more to say.
Okay, right.
But I'm not going to overload
let me
you
get with that. Right. So in that scenario, Jason is saying, let's talk. Right. Let's take a minute. Let's talk. So he's only going to tell me 1 or 2 sentences. Why? Because this is not an opportunity for you to dump all of your garbage. Right? This is not a moment for you to throw up. This is a moment for you to effectively learn different behavior. We're going to try to put the issue in front of us and then see what the issue is, which means that in order for me to see what the issue is, I have to be able to hear it. So I'm going to allow him to speak, tell me what he wants to talk about. I am only going to listen.
And repeat.
I'm only going to listen. When he is finished, he's going to let me know that he's finished.
Okay.
So when you're talking to your mate, you want to discuss an issue, right? You want to tell them, I would like to discuss something. You're going to do 1 or 2 sentences. That's it. Once your mate is finished, they're going to let you know, okay, this is what concerns me, or sometimes what we have, one of the techniques that we have learned is that you have something. So it's like a pencil. You give your mate the pencil. So I have the pencil. I'm going to speak. I'm only going to say 1 issue at a time. I'm not going to tell you that last week you did this, last month that you.
Right.
So
no.
It's only 1 issue, 1 or 2 sentences at a time, so that the person can digest the information. So that the person can digest the information, and then they can repeat it back. So then it would be time for you or the other person, your mate, to repeat what the first person said. If that person does not repeat to you what you meant, you wait until they are finished, and then they give you back the pencil. And then it's time for you to say, yes, that's what I meant. No, that's what I didn't mean.
Right.
But in that opportunity, what that does is not only gives each person an opportunity to speak and to be understood, but it also, I lost my train of thought. It also gives you the opportunity. I sure lost my train of thought.
To learn how they feel, or
I had so many thoughts going on in my head,
Okay.
and then I was trying to look at the messages too. But what we're doing that is thank you, Tina. To understand that this is a non-judgment conversation.
correct.
So the point of having this speak, repeat technique is that I have an opportunity to speak how I feel.
Yes.
The other person has an opportunity to hear me.
Yes.
They have an opportunity to repeat it back to me so that we are both in agreement and understanding what's being said.
Right. Nothing is lost in translation here.
And I'm not being judged.
Right.
I'm not looking for an answer.
Right.
And I'm in a safe space to communicate my feelings where I'm not looking for you to answer it.
Right.
I'm not looking for you to find a solution. I'm not looking for you to
Or fix it or
come back with a reason
response,
why. A
right.
response, right?
Well, this is why this is happening, or
'cause
gaslighting, or whatever you might
did
wanna say.
this,
Right.
I did that, you
Right.
did. So this is not what that is.
Correct.
Guys, if we're going to start doing things different, we have to understand, we have to give the person the chance to speak. And so after that is done, then I can then respond saying, yes, that's what I meant. No, that wasn't what I meant. Let me explain a little different, because it's going to take time, because we've been communicating the same way a lot all the time. And you're not going to get it the first time, but you have to be willing to sit back and understand. All right, commentator.
Unfortunately, the hard conversations makes the situation worse if both parties don't listen to understand the issue from both sides, or put themselves in the other person's shoes to come to a resolution, to work, to solve the issue, not sweep it under the rug.
Absolutely. So
correct. And then this is where it works because you're not trying to solve it right away. You have to, before you can solve an equation, you must understand the equation. So this is the part where we need to get the level of understanding.
right.
Now we'll get to the solving part later.
Afterwards.
But I gotta first understand what the situation is, how you feel about it. What's the equation? How this is all worked out? Then I can know if I need to use subtraction, arithmetic, addition, division, or whatever.
Right. So let's just say if I was to give you 2 + 2, right? We could solve that problem.
Right.
We could all solve that problem, right? But if I gave you a hard algebraic equation,
Yep.
it's going to take you a minute to understand
I
and
gotta
break it
first
down
understand.
before you can answer it. All right. So, Dennis, that brings us to our next thing. In this speak, repeat, after we understand, right? After I had an opportunity to speak and put the one issue, just one, we're dealing with one issue at a time. After I've had the opportunity to put the issue.
Oh, let me go back on that because I want to make sure I clear this up.
Okay.
So I told you how I felt about you working too long. Not you, but
In general.
Right. And then you repeat it back to me.
Right.
And then I'm going to go ahead and finish out what my other concerns are. Now that you got that part. So it's about when
The rest of the issue, the
Right.
rest of that
It's-
one
it's
issue.
still, we're only doing one issue, but I'm still talking about it, right?
Right.
One, you come home and you continue to work.
Right.
Secondly, you may not help with any of the chores around the house once you get home, right? So it's just many different things. I just need to get all this out based on you spending so much time at work and then you coming home and continue to work.
and why it's an issue. What the
And why
issue
it's
is.
an
Why
issue,
I'm
right.
Why it's
I'm
an
not
issue
just
with me.
throwing up all these different things. It's still stemming from the same thing. So you have to get your thoughts in order and say, this is just one concern. I'm not trying to fix everything.
Right.
I want to make
just
sure
want
that
us
you
to
understand.
I want us to be on the same page
Right.
regarding this issue. So the next thing, Dennis, in that is that once you have repeated to your mate that you understand, and your mate has said they understand, right? Then your mate is going to give you an opportunity to speak. So and then the next part of that is to, once the understanding is there, the point of repeating it to your mate is so that you can put yourself in their shoes.
Right.
Right. So you're going to say, let me repeat this to you so that I can make sure I'm understanding how you feel. You're saying to me that you feel unappreciated or you don't like or you feel neglected because when I come home from work, I'm still working. I'm not giving you the time or the attention that you would like. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So what you're doing is when you are repeating it to your mate, you're now taking the opportunity not only to listen and to understand, but to put yourself in their shoes by trying to effectively understand where they're coming from. If you're trying to solve it and you're not trying to listen, that means that you're not trying to understand.
Right.
Right. So we have to put ourselves in our mate's shoes by understanding where they're coming from. All right. Do we have any more comments, commentator? All right. So we want to thank you guys for coming on. But so that's one thing. Then the other. So when we do that, that's called right, role playing.
Oh yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so-
and that's part of role playing.
Right. So once I understand, so
Right.
you say, so you want to be able to not argue, not fuss,
Right.
not see blame, not point fingers. This is merely, right? Jason and I have said this all the time. It's him and I against whatever the problem is.
Right.
It's not the problem between us and I'm saying, well, you do this. And he's saying, well, you do that. And I do this and you do that. That's not how we solve issues. That's not how effective communication works. It's him and I saying, all right, let's have a conversation. In this conversation, when I speak, you're not looking to cut me off. You're letting me actually effectively get an idea out to be communicated. Then you're going to repeat it back to me so that we know that we're both on the same page.
Right.
In the process of understanding that, then you're going to say, let me see if I understand what you're saying. Then you're going to put yourself in your partner's shoes because you want to feel, you want to have empathy. You want to feel what they're feeling. You want to be able to understand your mate from a standpoint that this is where you feel this is where you feel the pain, but this is where, the misunderstanding and my intent is, right?
And that's what happens. It's the misunderstanding
Absolutely.
that blows up and becomes much bigger than the issue at times,
Exactly.
right? So you start,
Exactly.
like Dennis said, you start to sit down and talk about an issue and it blows up. And sometimes it don't even have to be the hard conversation. It's just a conversation that needs to be had and it just gets blown out of proportion and you never even got to any of the things that you need to talk about.
And sometimes before we even get to that technique, Jason and I always talk about the importance of journaling. Sometimes just journal to find out what the real issue is, right? So you're upset all the time when your mate comes home because, so Jason's upset because when I get home, I'm still working, right?
Right.
He may need to take a moment and journal. I'm upset when Tina comes home, and then put the reasons why, right? Because of this. But the issue isn't because I'm working. That's not the real issue. The real issue is because he feels neglected. He doesn't feel important. He doesn't feel that our relationship is not as a priority as his job.
Exactly.
So when we journal, we're giving ourselves an opportunity to dig deeper into the problem by ourselves so that we can effectively communicate that to our mate.
And that's why we're not in a hurry to fix the problem.
Yes.
We need to first understand it.
Exactly.
And we need to sit with that understanding first.
Exactly. So when I take the time to actually be with myself and my thoughts and journal it down and write down what my real issues are, then I'm able to come to you and say, I know typically I'm upset when you get home, but these are the reasons why I'm upset. I feel like I'm not a priority in your life. I feel like you, and that way it gives the person an opportunity to not feel attacked, right? Because when we feel attacked, we're gonna push back.
Right. We're gonna protect ourselves.
We gotta change. We gotta rewrite the narrative, guys. We gotta change some things. We gotta do things a little differently. And this is just a start in doing that.
Yep.
Right.
This is what we do.
All right. So we thank you guys. So just a little bit at a time. We do have, as always, a lot of things on our plate to do, but this is the end of the month, and this is October, so we want to say happy birthday to all of the October babies.
Now, that is the excellent way of saying it. She didn't name any names, so anyone that was born,
I am going to name one name.
Anyone born in the month of October, happy birthday. That's from me.
I am going to name one name.
Go ahead.
I'm only going to name one name because he is my brother. So I want to wish a happy and special happy birthday to my brother Joel. So blessings, love, and many more birthdays to come.
All right.
So that's the only one name I'm going to mention. But happy birthday to all of the October people. The other thing is commentary. Do we have any more comments? I just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. All right. So the next thing is we want to announce our grand winner, our super fan for the month of October. We thank each and every one of you.
Thank you for participating. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We will continue this. We will continue the super fan. And I know in December we're going to have a really special gift. So please, again, what that is whenever we post something, whether it's a post, a reel, a story, we ask as fans that you share it. Yep. Right? Just share the knowledge, share the wisdom, share our page so that we can help more couples not only stop divorce, but stop settling.
Actually have a happy relationship.
Yeah, just stop being settling.
Sometimes,
stop settling.
Right.
Sometimes we make issues bigger than what they need to be.
Right. So let's just be happy, period.
Be happy. Don't worry, be happy.
Yep.
So let's announce our super fan. So who is our super fan for the month of October?
All right.
We do have wait, can you get it? All right.
All right.
Woo! Regina Blakely is our super fan. I know I'm probably loud. All right. Thank you, Regina. Congratulations,
Thank you so much, Regina. We greatly appreciate it.
And one thing, I just want to say one thing about Regina. Regina always shares our stuff.
Always.
And
always
so
has.
she just increased.
Yep.
And I know Dennis does too. And we thank all of you.
Yep.
Dennis, you came in second. So next month, I'm expecting you to, get back up there. Also, Regina was one of our previous winners.
Yes.
Regina, we're asking you to take a picture of your shirt and please email it to us at info@legendaryrelationship.com. Dennis, we're asking you to take a picture in your shirt and send it to us at info@legendaryrelationship.com, or you can send it or DM it to us either way. The month of November. So Regina, we will be letting you know. We will be contacting you with your prize. All right. So Regina was a previous winner, and we never got her picture, her shirt.
We appreciate you. We appreciate
That's right.
you. We
Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
So, all right. Daddy, let's take us out.
All right. So it's time to get out of here.
Okay. So what do we do as coaches? That was just a taste of what we do as coaches.
Yeah, that was pretty
Okay.
good, though. Yeah.
All right.
So as coaches, we offer support in this journey because we all know that this is a journey. right?
Absolutely.
And our objective is to provide and guidance and tools like, tools. And, it's like tools and techniques, but I don't like that word, tools and techniques.
Okay.
Right. To navigate, to look, to handle, to erase, to ease, and to overcome challenges in different and unique ways. So we help you recognize the things that you need to recognize to make your life better.
And we understand that every relationship, every marriage is different and unique. So everyone doesn't need the same thing and everyone doesn't need to do them the same way.
Right.
That's where it comes from coaching, right? A coach has to be able to see what your stance is. We are a baseball family. So if I'm going to correct your stance in batting, I can't do the same thing for you that I do for someone else.
Correct.
Right? If somebody's a lefty and somebody's a righty, they're going to need two different ways of
Right.
making contact with the ball. So we understand as coaches, we're here to support you in your relationship, to help you, to guide you, to give you the right way of playing life. Who wants to lose at life?
Right.
Right.
Or
We're-
who just wants to have just a relationship.
Exactly.
Right.
So we're-
if you do know someone, if it's not you, if you do know someone, then pass on the information. Tell them, hey, you need to check out this stuff because this could probably help you. And I know it can help you. Right. So pass it along. Say, listen, if you want to have a happy relationship, I think you should take a look at this.
That's right. So remember, we appreciate you tuning in. Your comments, your comeback, your questions, your responses, your concerns. That is why we're here. We're here to have open dialogue to help you navigate your relationships. Why? Because we weren't taught this growing up. Jason and I could have eliminated a lot of the problems in our marriage if we had just known how to read the signs,
Yep.
how to take things from the outer and not put them in our relationship, not how
Right.
to just so many different
You get caught up in
we've
life
learned.
and you
Yeah.
get caught up with things and then you
Right.
bring things into your existence that you don't really need to bring into your existence. So it's just learning how to separate those things that's out there that does not need to be a part of your life and how to keep it out of your life. But those are the things that you have to learn, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we learn them too late. But in our case, we were able to
Take control back.
take control and get back in the driver's seat, make sure the check engine light never
That's
came on.
oil change and
Right.
our maintenance on time. So
All the time.
all right. So we just want to thank you for joining the conversation.
Yes.
Please, during these weeks and during any of our podcasts, if there's we encourage you to apply these things, this knowledge, this mindset,
Yep.
this awareness, these techniques. We encourage you to apply them in your relationship. Apply them to yourself. Start with you. Self-love is important. When I can self-love myself and love myself to the extent that I'm not looking for my mate to love me, but I can love myself enough to now I can share that love with my mate. That's a difference. When I'm not looking for my mate to feel me with love, but I'm already filled and then I can express it to my mate. That's a difference. That's when we're understanding what it takes in a relationship for it to be healthy. I have to be healthy. So we really encourage you guys to apply some of these things in your relationship. Don't just hear them, but apply them. Right? This is about applied knowledge.
Right. This is practical stuff. We're giving you stuff that you can implement right away. I'm telling
Absolutely.
you, if you implement some of these things, like we talked about the speak, repeat,
Or the journaling.
that will
Or-
change your relationships 100-fold. I can guarantee it, right?
When you can communicate better,
Oh, yeah.
things
Yeah,
are
will
looking
just
up.
open up, right?
That's right.
But we got to start somewhere.
All right.
But before we get out of here,
Okay.
November 3rd, we're going to be exclusively on YouTube only. So after this, YouTube only.
Okay.
Right? So November 3rd
is next Friday.
is next Friday.
Next Friday.
We'll see you on YouTube.
YouTube at Legendary Relationship or on our website.
At legendaryrelationship.com.
All right.
But we'll be making posts throughout just to remind everyone.
You will still be able to comment and we can still communicate with you guys. And we are working on getting the phone. so that you guys can call in and talk with us.
Yeah, you want that. And
All right.
We'll make
So
it happen.
Jason is right. So we're going to try to implement that in November. We thank you. We love you. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We really are trying to help people to navigate life better. And when you are a better person, when you show up better and you have peace of mind in your relationship, you can have peace of mind in your life. And it helps you to kind of understand how to break down any challenges, no matter what area it's in.
We started almost a year ago, how to elevate. Right, we coming in the last
That's
quarter
right.
here.
That's right. So
Yep.
we should be. If you have not taken from January all of our podcasts and lives that we've discussed, go back and look at them.
Yep.
Start elevating. Start shifting. Start mindset. Start understanding that you have the power. You have the power
Yes.
to create the life in which you want to live, and that includes the relationship. All right.
All
So.
right.
Is that it?
That's
Anything
it.
else?
I think that's it. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys coming out.
Wait. One last thing. I would like for everyone who watches this video, please keep my family lifted in prayer. I just want to say a special prayer to Richard and Bobby Moore.
Yes.
So please pray for them. Unfortunate, things happen, and so we want to keep them lifted in prayer. They have their child has been taken away. His soul will continue to live on, and sometimes that's a hard thing to do. So there is no loss in God. He will forever be with them, but please lift them up in prayer. So please let your prayers, your thoughts, everything be with them as they're going through this challenging moment right now.
Yeah. Not only them, but the family.
Yes,
as
my
a
entire
whole.
family. So that is
Yeah.
my first cousin. So please, keep us all in your prayers as we work through this.
Yep.
So as always,
We're in it to win it.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Till next.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Lovin' Beyond the I Do podcast. Head over to iTunes to subscribe and leave a review. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Legendary Relationship, or visit our website at legendaryrelationship.com. Till next time, remember to make every day count.